Welcome back to another episode of the Encourage and Empower podcast. My name is Kate. I'm so glad that you're here. This is a place where we talk about all things health, wellness from a biblical perspective. So we've talked about a variety of different topics, and today we are not just going to be talking the talk, okay? We're going to be walking the walk. And by that, I mean we're talking about walking and just the enormous amounts of health benefits it has, not only for us physically, but also mentally and for combating disease and things like that. So we're just going to strip it down to the basics. We're going to talk about why walking is important, how it can benefit you, and then we're going to cross over and have a little bit of a biblical perspective and see what does the Bible say about walking versus striving, things like that. It's going to get a little deep. It's going to get a little real. I'm excited for it. So just sit back, relax, and let's jump into today's episode. Okay, so we're starting off with the basics of why does walking matter? Okay, now walking is just going to be kind of a blanket term we're using, but we're really going to be talking about kind of your metabolism and your thermodynamics, and walking is a great way to burn more calories, or as I like to say, expend energy. So going over just your total daily energy expenditure. Okay, I just want to talk about how is the body fueled and how does it move and what does it need? Now, a lot of people have heard the phrase calories in, calories out, but I like to think of it as energy in and then energy expended. Your body uses energy to do so many different functions. And so I want to show this graph of a pie chart. And this right here is your total daily energy expenditure. So everything on this chart is how much energy your body needs to just survive. Now, the biggest portion of it is going to be your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. This is what you use just to keep your organs functioning to like have digestion, for your heart to pump, things like that. Even if you were in a coma, you still have a certain amount of basal metabolic rate, your metabolism that's used to keep your body functioning. That's why when you're in a calorie deficit, you need to be careful not to dip too low to where if you're eating less than your BMR, that can cause a load of health issues. That's why women start to lose their periods, their hair starts to fall out, things like that. So just knowing that about 70% of the energy that your body expends is for your BMR, you don't really want to dip into that area. Then you have your NEAT, N-E-A-T, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. We're going to talk a lot about that one today, so I'm going to skip over it for now, and we're going to jump back to it. The next biggest portion of the pie chart would be your TEF. That's your thermic effect of food. And so that's how much energy your body expends just to digest food, which is a pretty big deal. That takes 10% of your body's energy to digest food. So that is another kind of pie slice of the calories that you're consuming or the energy that you consume. And then the last one is EAT, which is actually exercise activity. And that's about 5% of your daily energy expenditure. So it is good to know that just as a whole, some people think that like working out like crazy it does affect your metabolism and it is really important, but there's a whole lot more going on to your body in this pie chart. And so understanding what is actually going on with your body and what energy is being expended is helpful when you're thinking about your daily activity level, which is why we're going to talk about NEAT. Okay. So NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This includes all movement that's outside of your organized, allotted exercise time. So this could be walking, it could be cleaning, fidgeting. There was a study that showed that people who tap their foot and kind of fidget at their desk end up actually burning more calories than someone who is sitting really still. So your body needs energy, and it burns energy when you're doing these non-exercise activity things. And so a great way to help add more activity into your life to maybe burn some more calories or expend more energy is by bumping up that NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's the best part, is that working out doesn't have to be the only way that you're burning calories or expending your energy, but you can sneak in more NEAT activity in. So I want to talk about the brain benefits of walking. So not only does it help your body expend more energy and you're getting your your activity levels up, but it actually affects your brain and health more than just burning calories. And so I want to talk about what Dr. Wendy Suzuki, she's a professor of neuroscience and psychology at New York University, and she has some really fascinating research about how walking can impact the brain. So go ahead and watch this clip.
Studied people that are 65 and older and asked, what is the probability of getting dementia in the next 6 years, depending on the level of activity that you have? Just right now.
Physical activity.
Physical activity. And they measured it in how many walks you take per week. And if you took 3 walks a week or more, you were 30% less likely to develop dementia in the next 5 years. So, 30% less likely to develop dementia. My father passed away of Alzheimer's dementia. That makes me sit up and take notice. But the thing that should make you, as a 31-year-old, really sit up and take notice is the larger correlations that show that the longer you have regular physical activity in your life, the longer you're able to stave off dementia.
Okay, when I first saw this blew my mind. Not only is she saying that going on 3 walks a week can start to stave off some of those brain diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia, but imagine if you're doing more activity than that, or if you're adding in resistance training. This is just like the idea that incorporating more activity into your life reduces brain disease. That is something that I'm like, I want to be paying attention to that. I think about how we invest in things like a 401k, a Roth IRA. We're investing and we're thinking about, all right, when I'm 65, I want to pull out of that later. Why do we not do that same thing with our health? What we're doing right now in our 20s, 30s, and 40s, even in this instance, you can even start that when you're in your 50s and 60s and reap the benefits. But we should be investing into that account of our health so that when we get to those older years, our body has something to pull into, and you have just created a better foundation. Your neural pathways, your brain actually gets fluffier. Okay. The whole interview that she did was really interesting to me, but it talks about how your literal brain grows, like the size of your brain. They compared 2 brains of people, one person who had Alzheimer's and dementia, and the other person who was more active and did not have that. And their brain was literally a smaller size. So you want to have a big, fluffy brain, and going on walks weekly, daily, adding in activity, same thing with lifting or resistance training, is going to help you have a big, fluffy brain, which I don't know, that's a new compliment for me. I don't know if I want someone to say, hey, your brain is really fluffy, but now I know that that's actually a really good thing. So overall, the benefits of walking and activity are more than just like, am I going to get my jeans to fit, or can I lose some weight? It's like, I want to have a sharp mind when I'm in my 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s, right? So think about it as an investment opportunity. And not only does walking support your physical health, but it's also going to support your emotional health and overall well being. So, I would just want to go over a few practical ways to get more walks in or more non exercise activity thermogenesis. So, here's just 3 off the top of my head right now. Get a walking buddy. Find someone who is also interested in adding in more walks and have some accountability. Maybe you meet up a few times a week, find a good trail nearby, and get a buddy, someone that you can go on these walks with. It makes a big difference when you have someone who is in that same headspace and wanting to achieve some of those same goals. And then you have someone to talk to too, which is great. Another one is just creating a daily habit. So thinking of it as like, not, am I going to get to a walk today? Or if I get around to it, but it's like, no, I'm a person who goes on a walk every day. You could do a morning mile. You could like bring some water with you maybe before drinking your coffee. That sounds like to some people torture, but we talked about hydration and electrolytes last week. So you could even bring a water with you, go on a little walk, even if it's just a 10-minute something, get your body moving, and then drink your coffee after that. Could be a good way to start the day. Or maybe you want to do it at the end of the day, like a daily debrief. And that's maybe you can find your partner or a friend and just chat. How was your day? Tell me what's going on in your world, and doing a daily debrief at the end of the day might be a good option. Lastly, you're going to want to walk while you talk. And by this, I mean, if you're taking phone calls, even if you're in an office or something, standing up and pacing while you're on the phone is going to help you get some more steps in, and you are being productive, or you're maybe catching up with your friend or your mom or whatever. But going on a walk while you're on the phone is a great way to sneak in some more non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And a few other smaller changes that you can add in. If you're sitting for long periods of time, you could set a timer on your phone or just think every hour I'm going to stand up and I'm going to walk, maybe do a lap around your office or go up and down the stairs, something like that. But just sneaking it in if you find yourself sitting for longer periods of time. Another one is taking the stairs instead of the elevator when possible. So just switching your brain to say, I'm going for the stairs, whether you're traveling, you're at a hotel, or just wherever you are, opting for the stairs instead of the elevator adds up over time. And then this is the last one I have, and I think it's kind of funny because I was talking to my sister about it a few weeks ago, but when you're at the grocery store or when you're running errands, parking further back in the parking lot and walking in. I think it's so funny how we will have like our Apple Watches on or our Aura ring, and it's like, I'm trying to get my step goal. But then when we're shopping, it's like, let me find the first closest parking spot. Like, what a joke. Like, just intentionally park farther back and get a few more steps in. It's like a small thing that can honestly add up over time as well. So don't be, looking out for that front row parking. Just bump it to the back and you're good to go. Every little bit of activity really adds up. And remember, it's these small, consistent habits over time that make the difference to help our brains be strong and fluffy and we can combat disease. Okay, now I want to switch over to the biblical perspective because the Bible actually talks about walking not from like a energy expenditure or a scientific way, but it does talk about people who walked with God, and I think that that concept is something to honestly focus on. And so I want to highlight a few areas. Genesis 6, 8 through 9, it talks about Noah, and it says, Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. I mean, that is a big deal. And I think looking at my own life, I would love to be known as someone who walked with God. Like, what a beautiful representation of what that relationship was like. And Noah's story is really powerful because despite him, if you know the story, he's being mocked by the world around him. He's trying to be obedient to what God told him to do, despite the circumstances being not the most pleasant. And something that I found extremely interesting is that in Hebrew, the name Noah, it means he rests. Okay. This is important because when you think about walking, it's a lot different. It doesn't say Noah ran with God or Noah sprinted or Noah strived. No, Noah walked with God from a place of rest. And that to me is profound because how many times do I try to run after something or let me accomplish this thing and then maybe this person will be proud of me or maybe God will be proud of me or let me strive and see if I can accomplish this, and it's like, no, can I walk, take a step back, walk from a place of rest. And that is exactly what God has designed us to do, and I think that's the type of relationship God wants us to have, not running and striving but walking in relationship with him. And Noah is a great model of that we can follow. It also reminds me of a passage found in Jeremiah 6:16, and it says, Ask where the good way is, walk in it, and find rest for your souls. It's like walking and rest go hand in hand. And I think that also in our physical bodies, when we are going on walks, when you're thinking about like, maybe I don't have to kill myself in the gym every day this week. Maybe I'm not like beating my body down, but getting recovery and rest and adding in things like walking is a low impact way that has so many health benefits, just like our own perspective with our relationship with God and what we're doing. We are looking for the good way and we're walking in it and we will find rest. That is good news to me. That is good news to me. And I even think about Jesus because it says that he walked from town to town. So he wasn't running, he wasn't striving, but he knew the purpose that God had on his life. And he said, I'm going to walk in this way. I'm going to do it. And sometimes he would go out and take rest and find solitude. Other days he'd be on the journey, but he was not running or striving. And that is something that at least I know I can definitely take a lesson from, especially in our very Western world, our very hustle mentality. working 9 to 5? What's your 5 to 9 a.m. before your 9 to 5? And it's just like, not that having a work ethic is bad, not at all, but in the right balance and moderation. And if your identity is coming from a base of striving and of performance, you are going to burn out and it's not going to be sustainable. And so having your identity be like, I'm walking from a place of rest, I'm moving my body from a place of rest, from confidence, that's gold to me. So, to wrap up this episode, think about ways to take care of your body to add in some more neat activity. I'd love to know what you end up doing this week. Maybe it is parking further when you're going on your Target run. Maybe it's finding a walking buddy. And in Texas, it's weird because I know it's January right now. And like last week, it was like 20 degrees and it was so cold. And I could not even imagine going on a walk outside. And then today I went on a really nice walk and it was like 65 and sunny. So depending on where you are, the elements outside might not be the best, but this is a weird thing I did one time. And you can judge me if you want, but one time I got a friend and I wanted to get some steps in and it was really cold or rainy. I can't remember, but I ended up going to a really big like furniture outlet store and I had tracked the walk on my watch and I got over a mile in. Now I did choose to leave my wallet in the car. I didn't want to, create a situation where I was going to be spending so much money. So I may be, impacting my health, but also digging a hole financially. So that was not the plan. So I left the wallet in the car and we like walked around this big furniture outlet. You could go thrift shopping, whatever you want to do. There's ways to get your steps in without being outside too, if it is too cold or snowy or rainy. So the takeaway is that walking is good for your brain, it's good for your health, it's good for your mood, and it's good for your soul because you can remind yourself that I'm walking from a place of rest. And when you incorporate that into every area of your life, I think it can be a lesson for us to find peace and rest, which ultimately is the goal. And to have longevity, we gotta lower our stress levels. And so having rest and in our daily routine is important. So thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. I'd love to know how you're getting your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, how you're getting your neat activity in. So let me know in the comments below. Also, feel free to subscribe. It means a lot to me, helps me know that people are listening, and then share this episode with a friend. Maybe share it with a friend and say, hey, I want you to be my walking buddy, and get that thing going. So thank you again. I look forward to talking to you next week.